There we go. Just wait. I don't even know if I have any notifications left for today. I don't think I do. I don't think I have any notifications, honestly. It's okay. What's up, Ida? It's alright, I was just getting set up. I don't even know how I sound right now. Oh, I can hear myself in my headphones. I hope you are well. I hope you're doing good. This is an impromptu live. I didn't prepare it ahead of time. I just decided. Just decided. I'm just getting things set up real quick. What time is it there? I'm just curious. Why do I sound like I'm echoing? Is that what it is? I sound like I'm echoing in my own ears. I'm doing pretty good. I had a really cool conversation with people, and I might have to put my hair up because I keep messing with it. But, oh, my sign isn't on. There. It's Monday. I expect that it's Monday. It's only 4:30 here, so... And I don't know why my lighting keeps changing. Maybe it's that. Like, why... Did I get really light? What's up, Mossy? I got super light. Like, the lighting changed, and I didn't do anything. I just sat here, and it changed. It's weird. 11:33 p.m. Wow. Okay. I would be way asleep by then. I have a really cool topic, and I'm super excited about it, and I hope people like it. But it's something I'm really passionate about. Okay, so it's 10:34 there. Okay. I don't know why I thought you were more in our area than all the way over there. I don't even know if I have my scenes set up properly to show. Like, if I went to show the chat, I don't know if it would just show up on the screen or not. How bad is that? Let's find out real quick. No. Let's find the chat. Well, there it is. At least it's there, right? This is for when I'm putting stuff on the screen. And I end up cutting these up a little bit because then I can get rid of all of the rambling, which I don't. I just cut it up. Just do a thing. Just do a thing. I had a black shirt on and I realized that it just made me look pale, more pale than I already am. I mean, I'm going to put it back on here only because the music plays. I could put the music on the other scene. I just haven't done it yet. But I have a topic. I'm so excited. I have an actual topic. I don't know if the thumbnail showed up. But it's about love languages. And it's not all about like l'amour. It's not all about like smoochy love. It's just about how to talk to people. If I can not cough. And blast your ears out. Sorry. Hold on for 2 seconds. clearing all my pings. Okay. Oh, it's been a long day. I worked all day. So, it is what it is. Making sure my mom doesn't need anything. She was messaging me a minute ago. I swear, I feel like I'm echoing somehow. I should make really cool faces staring at the camera so I can make a thumbnail that makes sense. Like one that's like, oh, I can't ever do that. I can't pose. I refuse. But is everything coming in clear? Is my vocals coming in clear? Is the picture coming in clear? It should hopefully. I don't have anything else open. I restarted my computer. I did all the things. But anyway. Oh, low balance for my kid's account. Okay. So, if you guys noticed by the title, this is about how to talk to people. And if anybody knows anything about me, it's that I can talk. I can talk. I don't always articulate properly because my mind is going way faster. I have like an internal dialogue that keeps going at all times that I have to like tune into. And a lot of times it's ahead of my words. So I get into this thing where I basically am tripping over what I'm saying because I'm already thinking of the next thing and I'm trying to articulate something from like a while back. So that's just how my brain works. And so it makes it where I over explain and I do all the context just so that I'm not misunderstood because that's how I see things. Think of taking a sentence. I said this earlier to someone. Think of taking an entire sentence, or let's say a word even. The word stop on a stop sign, and you read it as a word, and then try and describe every letter. That's kind of how mine works, except it's more sentences or paragraphs. And trying to describe letters when I'm already on the paragraph below. It's super hard. So I trip over my words. But eventually, I get to a point, eventually, ideally, my phone keeps going off. But anyway, I appreciate you guys being here. Is the background music good? I can actually hear it now. I figured out how to turn it on in my ears too, so that I'm not sitting here just like in silence. 15th Bend is awesome. And he lets me use his music. So I only have one song, so I need to go get the rest of them. I have his album. One of the albums is right there. So I need to just rip them and use them so that I can promote his stuff a little bit. He's doing really well. I'm super proud of him. Super proud. This song came out when I first met him, and I'm like, I want it. I want to use it for my live streams, and here I am. So, using all the things. What's up, Bridget? Welcome in. I am stalling because I don't know. I'm stalling because I want to get into this. It's a deep dive. It's a super deep dive onto a subject that I'm really means the world to me, to be honest. Changed my entire life, so I'm super excited. And I hope you guys are interested. And please feel free to participate because I'm going to ask for chat participation with this one. I want chat participation. And I'm going to record it on my PC because the stream comes up in like SD. And if I do it on my PC, it's HD. So then when I cut it up, I get HD quality instead of standard. You know, the little things, okay? Okay. But no, I want chat participation. And when I do that, I'm going to try and make sure that the chat is on screen. I'll put it up here. And I want you guys to hopefully engaged with it. I hope that the questions that I ask while I'm going through this resonate with some people. Maybe it'll help you, maybe it won't, but I hope it will. And I'm watching myself, so I'm wondering, and like, am I stuttering? Like, is my image okay? Okay. But yeah. So I'm going to get into it. I'm going to start. I don't know how to start. I never do. I'm not good at intros or outros. I'm just like, bye, and I cut it off. And my intros are basically like, so. And then I just click the record and I go in on it. So let me take a drink and then I'm going to do that. Oh. I don't just spill it all over. I feel like I mess with my hair. My mom's like, you mess with your hair constantly. I'm like, I don't. Because it goes weird. I turn my head and I move my hands a lot. And so then it gets like all like over the place. It's like this. And I'm like trying to put it back where it goes. Shut up, Kyle. Welcome in. No, but that's a good sentiment because I do need to get cracking. I got Christmas lights to put up for my kiddo. I promised her that we are going to eventually put up lights around my awning outside. So I'll be posting pictures of those just because why not? And I hate this because it's like, okay. Five languages of love. Languages of love. I actually am going to pull up some visual aids for this. I'm going to show you guys the book that my friend, and I'll tell you what happened because it was a really interesting story. And I still talk to him sometimes. Sometimes. Not always, but sometimes. I wonder if I can just like throw this on the screen. Let's find out. Let's do that. Oh, there's no more music. Where'd it go? I mean, I could put it on here. Do you guys like the music? Yeah, see, you like the music. Give me a second. I'm going to put it on here. Give me a minute. Let me find it. I found it the other day and I was so excited. And then I lost it. And I'm like, ah. Is it here? Here. Yes, I found it. There it is. I found it. I also have some from Sack Juggalo. Let's put this on. Hold on. Turn it down. Okay, there we go. It's still on in the background, right? There you go. Yes. We're doing the thing, man. Super proud of myself. All right. Ooh. Okay. Well, there we go. So there's the book in the background. See? I have props, y'all. There's props. Why is this? Oh, okay. It's bigger than the screen. Okay. Okay. So I'm going to explain to you guys what I'm talking about today. And it's literally, it's all started with this book. It's called The 5 Love Languages, The Secret to Love That Lasts. Now, this particularly is kind of geared towards like actual love, like relationships. And I just realized that. Let's do that. There we go. What's up, Casey? So basically this book changed my entire life. Now what happened was, you guys might not know this, I've mentioned it in the past. I used to play WoW a lot. And This was back when I was married. This was probably like in, I don't know, 2010 or earlier almost, maybe. I don't know. But anyway, so I used to play WoW and we had a guild and everything. And I had made a really good friend on there whose name was Gudrun on there. He was a dwarf. And I was like, whoever plays a dwarf, right? It's weird. But he and I got really close. We talked all the time. He was super nice. A really good friend to me when I really, really needed one. And then one time he sent me a package and I had no idea it was coming. And it was literally this book right here. The 5 Love Languages. And he even wrote an inscription on it. I have it somewhere. I have it put away. I've kept it for years. And I don't usually read self-help books of any sort. It's just not my thing. Not that kind of book. But this one I read because he sent it to me and it changed everything. It changed everything. So it was at a time where I really needed a friend and I couldn't understand. He knew my ex at the time. He knew him through the game and everything. And he had his own thoughts about him. And I was struggling. And I would call him and be like, you know, all upset and everything. Now, mind you, for context, I was married to an overt malignant narcissist. And who I have a feeling could potentially be bipolar, never diagnosed because, you know, knows better than the counselors. So point is that it was not a healthy situation. So I get this book and I start to read it and everything falls into place when it comes to why I can get along with some people and some people I can't, why some people make sense to me and other people's don't. Other people don't. So it comes down to the 5 love languages, and basically the context, the point, the summary is, I'm going to summarize this. I'm not going to go in and read the book to you or anything. I would highly suggest that if you're interested in this subject whatsoever, go get the book. It's worth it. It's a good reference book, things like that. Everyone falls into one of 5 categories. And I have those categories over here somewhere. Hold on. There it is. Here's the 5 categories. Let me try and make it look better on the screen because that's hard to see. All right, hold on. Let me try something else. Y'all get to participate. Oh, ha, ha, ha. I got it literally on the screen. So we're going to do this. We're going to take that off. And we're going to make this a little smaller so we can still see the chat. But it's still prominent. Sort of, right? How's that? Can everybody see that pretty clearly? I mean, it's a little ratchet setup. But, you know, this is me. That's what you get. Okay. There. All right. So these are the 5 love languages, and everybody, from what I've ever seen, falls into one of these. And I'm going to explain what they are, and I'm going to explain why they're important. So we're going to get into all of this, and I promise you, if you stick with me, it'll make sense. It'll hopefully give you some perspective and some tips and tricks and, you know, maybe open up some possibilities for what that's worth. This is literally has helped me be able to talk to people that I usually wouldn't, or meet people on their level, for lack of a better way to put it. If you think that every single person falls into one of these categories right here, okay? There's 5 of them, and I'll read them. The acts of service, quality time, words of affirmation, physical touch, and receiving gifts. What this means is everyone speaks in their own language, okay? So when I'm speaking, I'm articulating in a way that makes sense to me from my perspective. I'm expecting people to hear me the way that I'm talking. So when I say a sentence, I expect you to comprehend it in the way that I mean it, which is why I over explain. One of the biggest revelations in my life was understanding, I mean, really understanding that not everyone speaks the same language in this specific context. So, for example, the priorities and things that matter to certain people aren't what resonates or matters to others. And in order to communicate better with people, you have to meet them on their level or speak to them in their language, or at least comprehend and translate their language, okay? And I'm going to give you some examples. I'm going to explain mine and give you examples of what I'm talking about, and then I'm going to use others as an example. But before anything else, before I explain what all of these mean, I'm going to ask you to do me a favor and to think of a memory. Childhood's usually easiest, but think of a memory that's a good memory. Not all the negative, oh, I went through everything was horrible when I was a kid. Not that. Just think of something that makes you happy with another person, right? A group, one person, doesn't matter. A happy memory, and focus in on that. And what is the first thing that you remember about that experience? Okay? I want you to hold that in here. You can think of a couple, that's fine. What we're gonna do is we're gonna kind of hone in on some of the factors that indicate what your love language is based on what resonates to you in a memory. That's the purpose, okay? So for example, my language is what's called words of affirmation, okay? So the example I always tell people is, and I've had this talk with my children as well. You can hug me if I'm upset or something, and you come up and you hug me, and I'm like, because, okay, I don't register that. If you come up to me and be like, damn, I'm sorry you're feeling like this, I hear you, because words are how I process, okay? So when I say something, it holds more weight than when I put my arm around someone or when I, hug someone. So to me, the ultimate show of love are words, which is why I ask people to comment, which is why I tell people to send me a message, because the words are what I need. It doesn't say that what anyone does is not as important. It just says that in my brain, that's how I process things. Now, let me give you a different one to give you some context here. So let's say acts of service. Acts of service is not necessarily being a waitress. Like, yes, there's what are those things called with the lids on them and stuff that they carry around? It's not that per se. So acts of service would be, for example, and I can pull up some examples if I'm not articulating it as well as I want to. I might do that. I haven't decided. I'm winging it, guys. Mouthhugs. You're funny, Austin. So acts of service would be something like, if you're that person who grabs the extra coffee for insert anyone. Okay, so if it's your coworker, by the way, this is in regards to friends, coworkers, family, partners. If you're that person that always picks up that extra coffee and brings, without even, you don't expect anything, you just wanted to do that for them. You could have left them a note. You could have given them a hug when you saw them in the morning. You could have done anything, but you know what? You picked up the laundry, or you made a meal without thinking about it, and you set the table, like you set it in front of them. Those types of things. Some people speak in that language, and they also, the language you speak in tends to be the language you hear in. So a lot of people are looking for other people to reciprocate the same level that they are putting out there in the universe. So they perform acts, they buy a coffee, they just have in their head, without meaning to, there's an expectation that someone is going to bring them one, because that's how they show they care. whether it's conscious or not, that's just how it is, right? So when someone doesn't speak to them on that level, they might not hear it. Someone might sit there and say, I love you, but then they came home empty handed and forgot to bring food. And you're like, well, what? Like, why didn't you pick up the groceries? Or why didn't, you know, and it's not clicking. Does that make sense? So the point is, once you understand what someone's love language is and what your own is, you're able to kind of manipulate the way you speak to people into something that they're going to understand. Quality time is spending time with that person in their presence. That means putting everything else aside, sitting down and watching a movie, or having a conversation, or just being in each other's presence where everything else kind of falls away. And you're just focused on being in the moment with that person. Receiving gifts is pretty obvious. Some people, if you don't bring them flowers, they don't hear a word you say. Well, where's my flowers? Or where's, you know, the food, or, you know, stuff like that. Physical touch is another one that's pretty obvious. If they're speaking to you and they're not putting their hand on your arm or right next to you where their shoulder's next to yours, you don't receive the words that they're saying because they're not speaking in your language. They can tell you, I love you, I love you, I love you, I love you. They can wash all the dishes and they can do all of these things, but you still are like, well, why don't they love me? It's because your language is not being fulfilled, right? You're not hearing what you need to hear in the way that your brain needs to process it. And I know that's a lot, and I'm sure I talked around it in circles a little bit, but I promise you that it makes sense, because once you understand what yours is, then you realize that you're expecting the same from others. And once you realize that everybody else has their own, you understand that if you can hear what language they're talking in, that they're saying the same thing, just with different words, right? And because I feel like I'm talking in circles, which is my own fault, I'm going to pull up the 5 love languages examples just for some basic. I think this is a good one. Okay, here it is. I found it. This is what I was exactly looking for. Oh my Lord, it's a really big picture. Good gracious. Okay, hold on. Okay, so I found it. Oh, see, that is not what I'm talking about. All right, let's see if I can throw this up here. Wow. All right. All right, so I understand that this does go into, it's referring to marriage to a point. And I understand that that's a way that people would absolutely use this. But this actually works with any relationship where you need to communicate with someone else. If you're trying to impress your boss, do it in a way they understand, right? I mean, that would make sense. You would want to make sure that you talk to your boss in their language. So you can see here where it says words of affirmation. There's how to communicate, encourage, affirm, appreciate, empathize, listen actively. So the words are what matters. Physical touch is nonverbal body language. So it also, I didn't mention that. Physical touch, it is a touch, like I said, but it's also your body language. If you're throwing your hands at someone, they're going to take it worse than if someone is listening in their love language's words. So if the words are not harsh, but the hand movements are, some people take that a lot harsher. Stuff like that. Gifts, thoughtfulness, make the spouse a priority or the person a priority, speak purposefully. Quality time, uninterrupted, focused conversations, one-on-one time, acts of service. I'll help. They want to know you're with them, that you're going to assist them, that you're there like as a partner. And like I said, this is not just marriage, even though this is about marriage. That's not what I'm talking about per se. It applies across the board. And it gives you obviously things that you can try. Like so mine is words. So if you want to talk to me and have me hear you, like with no problem, send an unexpected note, text, or card. Encourage genuinely and often. So I got to hear it. If I'm doing a good job, if I'm saying something, if you don't tell me, I don't know. And I'm not going to adjust, right? I'm not going to adapt. What's up, Glenna? So one of my biggest pet peeves in the entire world is not being appreciated or being talked down to. I can't handle those two things. And those fall under the things to avoid: the non-constructive criticism and not recognizing or appreciating effort. Those are the two biggest pet peeves of mine, because that is my love language, right? So you want to set me off like that, talk down to me. It's really simple. Or treat me like I'm not a priority, I'm an afterthought. Like, I go out of my way to do this, this, and this, and then I get treated like, so anyway, right? Okay. I hear you. Do you see what I'm saying? So that's how I process that. I know people that, like, acts of service is one I love to talk about because it's more unconscious than it is conscious, to be honest. Actions to take to speak to someone in this language: you do chores together, make them breakfast in bed, go out of your way to help alleviate their daily workload. So that's the key there. So if you're in a workplace and you're trying to, this is going to sound so manipulative, that's the point. If you want to get in good with your boss, right, you're going to do things if they appreciate acts of service, if that's their love language. You're going to try and make it so that they don't have to do some of the action. I'll go make those copies. You know what? I'm going to go ahead and make those phone calls that you don't want to make. Those types of things to take the load off of them. A lot of people do this unconsciously. If that's their love language, they don't even realize that it's something that they want, anticipate, or expect. If that's their language, not prioritizing their requests will set them off. If you just don't do what you say you're going to do, that'll set them off as well. And so that's the acts of service. I know people like that. It's like they're the ones who, by the way, are super underappreciated because they do the things that people take for granted. They're the ones who are, let's use a home as an, or friends, for example. They're the ones who are always volunteering to go grab the drinks from the bar, right? And bring them to the table. They're the ones who, if you're like, oh, I forgot something in the car, and they go run out there and grab it, Bridget. They're the ones who kind of always seem to volunteer to do things. And people take advantage without even meaning to, because they're not understanding that the appreciation for that is all that really matters, being acknowledged and appreciated for it. They also receive that language really well too. So if you do that instead, they tend to be like, oh, no, I got it. But they still appreciate it because they understand that that's you showing your care and concern or positivity, right? It's the same as receiving gifts are a lot more straightforward. Giving a gift, the way to really set them off is to forget things. So if you forget major dates, anniversaries, and I'm not talking about like in general, I'm talking about like, oops, I forgot to get you a gift for your anniversary. That's a big problem, right? And obviously the physical, they're saying, I like the quality time better, to be honest. Physical is pretty self-explanatory. I don't think I need to get into that. It's the making it a priority to be in their space. They want you close, you know. Kids tend to start off with the physical because they don't have the words, they don't have the way to articulate, they don't know how to perform acts of service, so it tends to default to physical touch. Welcome in. I appreciate you being here. Thank you guys. I'm rambling. I'm explaining this chart over here. quality time is a hard one because people think they're spending quality time without spending quality time. So for example, I'm here, my daughter is here. I'm not spending quality time with her right now. I am prioritizing and taking the time to specifically be here in this moment with you guys. She is doing her thing. It doesn't bother her. That's not her language, by the way. But it wouldn't be considered quality time just because I'm in the same home, in the same area as she is. That's not the same thing. It is specifically prioritizing that person and spending time where everything else falls away, like I said earlier. Everything else has to fall away. Getting distracted or being in the middle, let's say you're sitting down watching a movie and you keep checking your phone. That's going to set somebody off because they're like, well, you're supposed to be in the moment with me, right? And you instead are taking that time that is supposed to be meant for them. And this goes with work, meetings. If you're in a meeting and your boss is, or someone is making a presentation and you're in there and you're checking your phone, you're literally like thumbing your nose at the focus that you're supposed to be giving them. And that actually falls into multiple categories, whether it's hearing their words, whether it's, helping them out, taking some of the load off, making it easier on them, or that quality time where you're literally honed in listening, right? All of that to say, if you know what yours is and you know what theirs is, what language do you think you need to articulate in? I mean, sincerely, do you think it should be your own language or their language? And have any of you guys actually sat back and thought about that memory and what it is that stood out in the memory as important to you? What do you remember the most? Do you remember who you were with and what you were doing? Do you remember what they said to you? Do you remember how it felt when they gave you a hug? Do you remember that really cool PlayStation they bought you? Has anybody actually honed in on theirs yet? Just curious. And I agree with you, Ada. No one should take that talk down to each other. Nobody should. But here's the thing. If someone's speaking and words don't matter, it won't affect you as much, right? If you understand that words are the way they communicate, and that sounds silly, right? Words, of course, words, that's how we all communicate. Is it though? When you really, really, really care about someone, when you really want to do something special for someone, what's the first thing you think of? The first thing. When you want to do something for a family member or a loved one of any sort, of any level, at any part in your life, what is the first thing you want to do? If you could do anything for them, what would it be? These are the types of questions that help you determine your love language. And you guys can put your answers if you want. If not, that's fine. It's okay, because I can just talk to myself. No, I'm kidding. But no, like I said, mine are words. So if I don't see the words, I'm like, is anyone listening? I know you're listening. Like, that's the whole point of what I'm about to get into, which is the fact that knowing and making it come to fruition are two different things. So learning all of this and understanding this concept that everybody falls into, basically one or two of these categories as their importance, right? That's their priority. That's what makes them feel loved. Let's just use the word loved, or affectionate, or cared about, or appreciated, or respected. Okay, so any of those words count depending on the relationship that you have. Mossy says food. I mean, that could be acts of service or receiving gifts, if that's, what you would do. If you would make them food, then it could be one of those two. Open communication and open mind. Okay, but if you were going to do something for someone you love, that you care about, whatever context, what would it be? If I said, okay, it's so and so's birthday coming up in a couple days. They're a friend of yours. Can you come up with something special to do? What would you do? Would you throw a birthday party? Would you make a card? Would you bring them to a restaurant? Would you buy them a gift card? Would you get everybody together? I mean, like, what would you do? It should be different with different people, but I'm not asking what you would do for other people that they want. I'm asking what you would do that makes the most sense. What's your first thought? You're overthinking it. You got to stop. Don't overthink it. It's not time for overthinking. That's in like 5 minutes. I'm saying generally your brain goes straight to what it is that matters to you, and then you have to pivot from that, which is what I'm trying to say. Because for me, I would make sure that I send them a message. I would tell them, happy birthday, I appreciate you, I care about you, can't wait to see you, whatever. I would literally make sure that I write out a message, an email, a text message. I would put it in words, right? But on the flip side, that might not be their thing. Their thing might be quality time. So me taking time out of, whatever I'm doing and going and spending that with them and sitting with them and going to the movies together or something, I might get through to them in their language. That's what I'm trying to say. Point being, whenever you talk to anyone obviously people you don't know, you can't guess. You can't just be like, hi, how are you? And you guess. Like, that's not really a thing. But anyone that you interact with on a regular basis, you should have a somewhat of an idea based on their behavior and, how they receive things. Which one of these works for them? And as much as if you acknowledge what yours is, you always have to put out what they're going to hear. Because as much as it is about you and you understanding that someone cares about you because you're hearing them, you understand that they're giving you a hug, that means they care about you, even though you don't register it that way. I'm talking deep. I'm not talking like, of course a hug means they care. That's not what I'm saying. I'm talking about on that deep subconscious level of what makes sense. And this is where people get into arguments and they get into disagreements and things of that nature. One of them's yelling, the other one's just being quiet, and they just take themselves out of the room. It's because removing themselves from the situation takes them out of the argument while the other person's still yapping, because arguing is all words, right? You don't even have to be in the room because that doesn't matter. Your physical presence does not matter. It's the words that are being said, right? Some people want to speak in person. Some people need to speak, through a medium. Some people want to get time to process. But once you understand what somebody else is, whether it be a friend or boss, a partner, a family member, you can approach them on their level and genuinely get your way pretty often. I'm not saying it in a negative way. I'm just saying honestly. If you want somebody to do something for you and you feel like you're going to do something first, I would figure out which one of these they receive the best. If they love gifts, then, a nice little gift before you ask for time off might help. Right? What's up, Sky? I know there are different ways to articulate this whole concept. The thing is that make it simpler than what you're thinking. Some people are already at the point where they have to be open. I'm saying be selfish about it. What is it you need to hear? What makes you feel loved and cared about and appreciated? What is it? Be honest. Is it somebody buying you a huge gift? Bringing you flowers? Is it somebody giving you a hug? Is it somebody who takes you out and spends that one-on-one time? Is it somebody who cleans your room for you? Because that would be like the coolest thing ever. Is it someone that says it, articulates it? I mean, be honest about it. yes, everyone wants to be open. Everyone wants to communicate. Everyone wants to think that they are open and understanding and comprehensive. But our brains have to process that first. We hear it and then we process it. So I'm asking which way you hear it. See, Ida, that's what I'm saying. What you're saying is experience and thinking through it and all of that stuff. That's not, I'm talking about that base input. I'm not talking about the fact that you know that you need to approach situations in a way that is open and communicative. I'm talking about if it comes down to it and I said, look, this is, if you want to get through to me, you need to talk to me. Every friend that is close to me that I work with knows this. I have said it. I've made it clear because I want to make sure that those lines of communication are open. And I say, look, if you really want me to hear you, you need to write it down. Right? You need to tell me directly, hey, you're doing good, you're doing bad, you need to fix this. I won't take it in a bad way. You can give me constructive criticism and I'll take it, no problem. Right? Being like, huh, idiot. Okay, that I don't care. I'm not going to listen. But if you say, look, your thumbnails are weird and they don't stand out and nobody's going to click them, which by the way, people have told me, they're like, you need to make yourself bigger. You need to make it bolder, bright colors. And I'm like, but it looks so tacky. And they're like, that doesn't matter. You need to fix this. You've got the right idea, but this is what you need to change. And I'm like, okay, well, you wrote it down. You laid it out there. I got you. Right? Creating me a thumbnail to replace the one I did is not, that to me doesn't matter. It doesn't make sense to me. You just redid what I did, and now I don't understand why. Because my brain's not processing it that way. My brain's like, okay, well, so you went and did it for me because I can't do it myself. See, you can go there. Do you want my Pepsi? Hold on. Mine's still cold, sort of. See, that was an act of service. She's like, I don't know what you're talking about. She wanted my Pepsi, so she brought me a new one. She wanted to be nice, so she brought me a new Pepsi. I get it. I love her. But see, that's the thing. I understand that's how you work, but you work that way because you've had years of experience, and that is your go-to. And I get that. I'm simplifying it a lot more. I'm ripping away that step of how you handle things once you've heard it. I'm asking, if anyone were to do anything for you and you'd be super excited, the one thing that you always wish somebody would do, what would it be? Would it be taking you on a trip? Would it be going to the mall? Would it be going out for a really good meal? I'm not talking understanding and compassion and all of those things. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about literal communication, literal communication. And how some people don't comprehend on that level. Some people comprehend on what makes sense to them. And my kid's yelling at the cat. You speak and you tell people what you think and have a good conversation. If people can have a discussion without arguing, they're gone in my world. So do you see which one it sounds like, just from that it sounds like you fall into? Can you see which one that is? Because you're going a little bit more on the feeling side, and I'm talking about literal. I get that. There's my mom. Oh, hold on. Sorry about that. I promised somebody that I was going to drop a link, and I did not do it. I apologize. I'm sorry. Okay, there we go. Sorry about that. No, I understand you have different opinions on different people, which is the end game. I'm talking about the game before you get there. How do you get there? Because what you're doing is you're skipping the step where you're going into how somebody interacts or communicates. You're skipping that step and you're processing it faster, and you're jumping to the how to handle it. I'm talking about that first step before you decide how to handle it. What are you hearing? That's what I'm saying. A lot of people skip that step and they go straight to the how to process and how to handle it with a certain person. So if a certain person is somebody that just seems to picking up there we go. Thank you, Nina. That's acts of service. See, that's kind of where I'm going for, because that's when it comes down to it, whether we want to believe it or not, and people don't like that I say this, and that's okay. I don't ask for anyone to completely agree with me on everything all the time. However, life is a selfish game. And ultimately, no matter what anybody says or does, you process things through your brain, your perspective, and you can't process it through someone else's. But what you can do is use any tool that you can to understand where they're coming from. And this is the intention of this, is a communication with someone. For example, when someone keeps doing things for you, like Nina said, picking up your mess, tidying up the house here and there, shows her that they value her, right? Someone keeps doing that and someone doesn't acknowledge it, that person gets resentful, whether they mean to or not. They might do it out of the kindness of their heart. They just want to do things. They might never, ever expect anything back. But the longer that it goes unacknowledged and unappreciated, or it feels that way, you can see where resentment could build. I'm not saying every situation is the same. I'm speaking in generalities. I am not speaking in very specific one-off exceptions to the rule. I'm speaking in generalities, as I tend to do. Like I said, with me, it'd be words. You can do all of these things, but if you don't acknowledge when I ask you to do something, for example, my children, if you don't acknowledge when I ask you to do something, then you didn't hear me. Well, I'm doing it. Well, you didn't say, okay, I got you. No, I hear you, Mom. Right? I don't hear the words. I don't realize that somebody's comprehending what I'm saying. And a lot of that can lead to resentment. Some people I don't like to be hugged. It's like, don't touch me. And I know that some people are like that, but I'm really like that. I'm really, 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 really like that. People know, even my kids know, like they're the only ones, and my mom, that can like come into my personal space. And it takes a lot for me to get into anyone else's personal space. It's just not a thing I do. And if Bridget's still here, you can ask her. She was at my house and she knows I keep a distance, and you can see me making an actual effort to get close to someone, because it's just not a thing I do. And other people, they might resent that or feel like I'm blowing them off, or that I'm not a good friend, or that I don't care because I'm not reciprocating. People will come up and literally try to hug me, and I'll just stand there like uncomfortable and weird. I make it awkward. I can't help it, especially if you hug me from like a standing position. I lose my mind. But someone that is all about physical can take that in a negative way, and that can build resentment. Like, oh, well, what's wrong with me? You don't want me hugging you? Excuse me. I'm not saying that everyone behaves this way. I'm saying that understanding how that can come across to people can help you know that when you're dealing with certain people, certain things resonate. And sometimes you have to articulate, look, oh, I'm just not really a hugger. But then you kind of like throw in something else that like makes it okay, right? Like, I'm not a hugger, but you know what? It's you. And so then it's like, but it's you, it's okay. But I don't hug, so this once. And you pat them on the back, you move on, right? It's no problem, Papa. I appreciate you being here. And it is respect. That's the thing, is that a lot of people don't realize that they're missing completely the way that people are trying to communicate with them. It's wild sometimes. People are almost jumping up and down, shouting, and they're not being heard because they're only shouting in their language and people are only listening in their own. They don't see that the person who just gives you gift after gift and it's like, oh my gosh, why do they keep bringing me food after work? I just want them to come home on time, right? That's that miscommunication. Or for one, they're like, okay, well, this makes it okay because I brought you something, you're welcome. And the other one's like, I wanted you to bring you, right? Articulating that and communicating that can change everything and say, look, I like to work late, but I get that bothers you. So instead, I'm going to choose, to make sure I'm off on time. And instead of making a pit stop to go get food because it makes me an extra 45 minutes late because we order in or whatever, I'm just going to come straight home. Right? It's the little things like that. Same works with work relationships. Some bosses, their way of showing that they appreciate your hard work is potlucks and pizza parties and $5 gift cards to Five Below or the dollar store or something. And it's very small tokens, but that's their way of articulating that they want to show you they care. If you don't receive it that way and you're just like, oh, look, another gift card, right? It can develop resentment for that person because people don't see things for what they are sometimes. And it's nobody's fault. It's just the way life is. You can only see this world through your own eyes. Now, I've not heard of anyone being able to literally look through anybody else's eyes except in sci-fi movies. I like to blow my kids' minds sometimes. I love to make this comparison when we're in the car and say, every single house you see, let's just assume there's at least one person in it, because some have 5 and some have none, right? So it averages out. Every single vehicle you see on the road has a person in it. And every single one of them has a pair of eyes. And they're looking at something, and it's not what you're looking at because you're not sitting in their seat. They have somewhere to go, something to do, something they just did, someone they just spoke to, who they're thinking about, what their priority is. I said, and look at all the people around. Look at all the houses. Look at all the cars. Every single person has a different agenda, has a different priority, has a different thought process going on at this exact second. It's a lot, right? It's a lot. But if you can understand that, this person, it's important for them to make it on time every time. You can know that when you're dealing with this person, don't be late. Or if you are going to be late, maybe there's someone that you just need to let them know because it matters to them. To them, that is more insulting than if you just told them where to stick it, right? You just have to speak to people and listen for their love language. And a lot of times, if you don't know what yours is, just think back to fond memories and think of what sticks out to you. When somebody did something super nice and you were really excited, what was it? Was it that time that you woke up on Mother's Day and the whole house was clean because they did everything? Or was it that time when someone took you on a trip or took you out to a really cool restaurant? Or was it that time where you were just watching the sunset with somebody? Or was it the time that you went out with all your friends and everybody was dancing together and it was just a grand old time? You can narrow it down. You have to have common ground. There's a difference between hearing someone and actually listening to understand. I think that's my entire point, is by understanding that everyone has different motivations. By focusing on motivations, you can actually get through to people, and it's easier that way. It's easy. It makes it a lot easier because we all speak in our own language. I speak in words. I overdo it. I just talk and talk, hoping that if I speak enough, I will get through. Right? And some people are visual. They need something up on the screen to look at. Some people need to hear it. Some people need to see the words on the screen. Some people need examples. They need pictures. Some people need better context. Some people need comparisons or, scenarios or a story that, encompasses it. Ida, that's literally what I'm saying. I'm saying that you're at the next step. You're appreciating different things from different people. I'm not saying people aren't appreciating it. I'm saying that some people don't recognize it. I don't know how to answer that. I know it wasn't a question. In no way am I saying that you're not already doing this. It's just that the general public is here somewhere. All of us are. And I keep asking what yours is. What is your language? What makes you feel super special? That has nothing to do with anyone else. You specifically. If you could put it into one of these, which one would it be? I'm curious. That doesn't take away from being able to comprehend or to handle people or appreciate differences. That's not it. In fact, the intention is to appreciate that people are different and they prioritize things differently. If you didn't have a combination of all this, we'd get nothing done ever. We'd get nothing done. Because there's got to be people that without having to be told, are going to do things like acts of service because that's just who they are. That's what it boils down to. That's just who they are. People that want to spend time, that might get somebody who does this to do more of this. And then it crosses over. And then this person can communicate with this type of person easier. It all works out in the end. I'm just saying, once you recognize it, and now we're going to get into where it gets a little hinky. Once you know this, you can use this. You can use this to communicate with people to get your point across sometimes, obviously. You can use this to get your boss to like you better. To be a cooler friend. Right? Thank you, PDC. Physical touch for sure. My partner says acts of service. Some people, like, if you do something for them, like, those are the people who love coupon books, by the way. They love coupon books. And they love to give coupon books. Because for them, it's easy to do and it means a lot. It means more, right? It means more. And, of course, you have your exceptions, which are the ones who that is something they don't like to do. And so they'll do that just because, well, fine, right? That's the way to get them to do what they don't want to do. Either way. But the point is that once you understand how these work, if someone is a gift receiver, they shower other people. They buy things. They like to pay the bill. They like to go shopping. It's all about what they get. It doesn't say anything about their personality as a person. It's just saying that's how they feel appreciated. So if you want to really show them you appreciate them and have them really, really feel it, you get them a gift. Words of affirmation and acts of service. See, there you go. I know I'm words of affirmation. I know that is absolute. I think I'm slightly acts of service, but only in the context that the follow through is a big deal for me. Not following through, like not showing up when someone says they will, or things of that nature really, really, really bother me. Physical is not me at all. I'm the opposite of that. Bridget, that's not what I'm not talking about anyone else around you. I'm talking about if someone were to do something for you. Okay? For you. And I'm saying be absolutely hands down selfish. right? If you could get anything in the world, if you could have me do anything for you in this moment, or not even me, anyone, okay? Somebody that you really care about, somebody that you love, anybody, what would it be? Would it be hanging out? Would it be going out to eat? Would it be going to Paris? Would it be like a note that you could put in a box and save? I mean, what would it be? I understand what you're saying. I can say that reading a message is often misinterpreted because there's no tone in it, and so a little difficult to explain. I would agree with you, but I don't. Because I'm very particular when I send messages. I mean what I say. Now, I can expand on it if necessary, but if I say it, I mean it. I might over-explain. I might not articulate it properly, but you can guarantee that what I'm saying is what I'm saying. There's nothing hidden about it. You know what I mean? So I understand that some people don't speak in that manner, but I do. So for me, messages mean the most. Now, other people might write messages with an undertone of something else, and I might not catch it because for me, words are at their face value. Right? You say, I care, and I believe you. You hug me, I'm like, okay. Right? But you say it, I hear you. You hug me, okay. You hand me a gift, I'm like, I don't know what to do with this. Right? You're like, I carved out time to hang out with you, and I'm like, what are we gonna do? Like, oh, okay, right? So I falter, and I'm using myself as an example because I can only speak about myself specifically in every scenario. It is obviously you would take into context what your love language is, what matters, what you prioritize, all of those things. I guarantee you something applies to you, Papa. I guarantee you. I guarantee you. And I have a feeling I know which ones it could be. I don't think it's this one. It's not receiving gifts. I don't think it's words. And I don't know you well enough because in person, right? In person, to say it's physical. I don't know you that well, but I think it's one of these two right here. Right there. That's what I think. Now, this, like I said, this is not just for a lover relationship, a lover. This can be applied in any scenario. Networking, communities. So, for example, I'll give you an example of how this applies outside of a sexual relationship, okay? Or like that type of relationship. The communities that we're around. Nina, I don't think it's words. I don't think that's it. He's not a wordy guy. I sincerely think it's one of these two. I might be wrong, but I really think it's one of these two. This is what we see because we're not here for these. That's what it looks like, but I don't think that's it. But for example, in the community, let's say there's a community and they're swaying. Here's the thing. When it comes to, like, for example, a reaction communities at their core are developed based on a transactional basis. And before you guys are like, oh, that's not what we're here for. We're here to support. That's not what I mean. I mean, at its core, it starts with a transaction. You do this, I watch it. You do a song I like, I watch you, right? Transactional. Then you get into, for example, let's say you pay for the song you want, you get the song you want. It's transactional. That's how it starts. Then you get to understand the person. Then you get into somewhere like where someone likes to all the time give out prizes. They're trying to draw people in, they're giving out prizes. And I know places like this that do this. They give out prizes, they spin a wheel, they do giveaways, all of these things to bring people in, okay? And then all of a sudden they realize, you know what? It's not sustainable this month. And they stop and people flip out. Where's the wheel? Aren't you giving out gifts? Aren't you giving out something for, you know, what we're doing? It becomes an expectation of the gifts. Whether it's transactional or not, receiving something is what this one is referring to in this context. Right? So you can see a community almost turn because the expectation that they have based on this being the tone and the language that the stream has been running on, this going away, people start reeling. Now, I'm not saying that that's the only reason they're there. It's just an expectation. Pop, I'm not talking about a relationship, honey. I'm talking about friendships, family. When you spend time with your brother, you go hunting, right? When you spend time with your brother or whoever, you go hunting. You go to a cabin, you go hunting, and you guys just hang out and you hunt or you fish, right? Right? Just the two of you? Just curious. I think I got this one. Right there. Now, of course, that's me. I'm not talking about a relationship like a lover relationship. I'm talking about any relationship, communication with another person in this world that you have some type of a relationship with, whether it be a boss, a friend, a family member, an affiliate, or a significant other. But my point is that if you run your stream as this is me trying to make an example. Papa, quit trying to be difficult. I'm saying this one, when you spend time with your friend, you guys go spend quality time. You let the whole world fall away and you just spend time together, right? You just hang out. You do your thing. Okay? So, for example, like I was saying, when it comes to YouTube, okay? I'm talking YouTube. I'm talking a stream on Twitch, on YouTube, on TikTok, okay? I'm so sorry. I've had the heat on all day, and so my throat is like super dry. So you end up getting a couple of things. So you end up getting this one, the receiving gifts, and you end up getting words of affirmation because you get the shout outs. You get, possible people that run their stream that way. You have the expectation of a gift. Let's say that somebody runs their stream and they always want input, and then all of a sudden they don't want any more input. It throws people off because you have to understand the expectation of a group. It's a little different than an individual, but the expectation of a group tends to stem off of whoever is leading the group. Okay? And whoever's leading the group is generally using things that keep people interested in this context specifically. Gifts are a good one if you're trying to get people to, follow, subscribe, and hang out. The expectation or possibility of a gift is a good one. Physical touch isn't a thing in this context. Quality time, you feel like they're spending that one-on-one time with you. You feel like you're engaged. That's a good one. This one is not usually, you can't really help them out because they're doing it themselves. It's from their computer wherever they are. You can't really do this one. So this one's out and this one's out. But the words, shouting people out, saying thank you, reading the comments, responding back to them, receiving gifts, that's one where it's transactional in some way, shape, or form. Someone is receiving something, whether you're giving or receiving, transactional, and then their time. And I know that this is the case because I do this all the time, guys. This is what I do in the background. And Papa knows. He's a mod. He knows. Those are the ways to make it work. You give people attention, you give them your time, and you give them something for the attention and the time, right? How many times we hear them say you could be spending your time anywhere, but you're here with me, right? So in return, what do they get? See, with me, the reason I don't have tons and tons of subscribers, the reason I don't have tons and tons is because I am not transactional, unfortunately. I have chosen to purposefully not be transactional because I like natural, organic, consistent growth with people that will come back time and time again because they like the conversations and they like the subject matter. Whether they agree or not, they can respect the angle and the perspective that I bring to it and me as a person, even if they disagree. Hopefully. So all I'm saying is that this changed everything, because with the way that my brain works, with the running commentary that is always going on, I trip over my words, which is ridiculously important to me since that's the most important thing to me. Being misunderstood, not getting my point across, or being taken wrong are three things that really kills me. I can't handle it. So I overtalk and I ramble and I give too much. I'm not very good at simplifying things. In this capacity, it's words of affirmation, quality time can fall into it as well, I suppose. And see, that's what I'm saying. The way you see these big streamers, they bring something to the table, something transactional, whether it's an actual gift, whether it's a reaction, or whether it's they're an amazing gamer. Whatever the case may be, you're getting something out of it. They're spending their time making you feel like they're taking time out of their day, or this is what they do, but they still make you feel special. And they shout you out, even in context. Some people don't shout everybody out because there's got millions of viewers. They can't. Or they've learned that they just get flack every time they do. But you're getting something out of it. This is how communities run on a stream. This is how it works, guys. And I'm not saying this to make it a negative thing. I'm saying this is just fact. That's how that works. You get the rare people who can take these things that are required to have a successful channel, successful live streams, etc. You can take somebody who can do these things, but then also brings their sensitivity, emotion, and their heart into it, right? Those are the people that we would do anything for, right? And then it becomes transcendent of all of this. And so what happens when you transcend some of this, when we get our people that we really appreciate, that we feel like truly care and would do anything for us, and you want to support them through everything and anything, you turn into this. Not physically and in person, but you go out of your way to alleviate their workload in some capacity. This means when they're overworked, you sympathize, you empathize. You try to get them to calm down, slow down, chill out. Nope, we're not going to bother you. Nope, it's not a big deal. You become more understanding and more open. And when you hit this level, right, you have to make sure that this doesn't turn into something completely like way over the top, because then it becomes overwhelming for the person. No, I agree. The chat. That's why. And here's the thing. There's two reasons that I encourage chat. One is because I'm a chatter. You guys know this. I'm in the chat. Sometimes I'll be quiet. Sometimes I'll lurk. But I like chat participation for multiple reasons. One is because it shows me that people are engaged with what I'm saying. That people have input or interested. And like I said, words are my thing. So if you don't say it, then I just assume if no one's talking, I'm like, do I just stop or go on another tangent, or like, and then I stumble over my words. But the thing about chat is that When you can get people talking amongst themselves, engaging with what you're talking about and between each other, it's so much more comfortable. It feels good to know that everybody's kind of just vibing on the same frequency. Now, I'm not saying I am the queen at this. I can recognize it. Doesn't mean I can pull it off. The other thing is, if you want to be real about it, engaging the chat moving while people are speaking, while you're streaming, boosts your algorithm. It matters. Why do you think some people don't censor their chats or ban people? I'll wait. Because even if people are mad, as long as they're not saying something despicable or heinous, they're talking, aren't they? Same with nasty comments. You leave those nasty comments, let people say something nasty. You know what I mean? It's engagement. They want to dislike it? Okay. Thank you for... Because the algorithm doesn't care your intention. It cares that you sent a message in the chat. It cares that you clicked a button. It cares that you cared enough about what was being said, good, bad, or indifferent, enough that you're going to engage with the content in any way. Whether it's clicking a dislike button, a like button, clicking to type out a comment, pausing to watch it for a second, being happy enough to share it, like hitting the like button before you actually watched any of it, it doesn't count as much as if you hit the like button midway through. You leave me a nasty comment, please, Annette. Thank you. That would be great. I'm going to take this off the screen because I'm sick of staring at it. Not going to lie. Tired of looking at it. You leave me a nasty comment. I think that's hilarious. You can. You can. And I won't be mad at you because I know you love me. I've known you since I was, what, like 16, 17 years old? If anybody knows me, Annette does, for what it's worth. She's been through everything with me. She's seen me go through all of the things. And I think she was around, if I'm not mistaken. I told her when I got this book from my friend, because I tried to tell her about it. Promises, dear. Wait till you come down here. Threaten me with a good time. The intention of what I'm saying is that really communicating with people is not just properly articulating what you are trying to say. It's articulating in a manner that someone else is going to understand. It's reading the room, and it's knowing your audience. So if you're talking to a group of teenagers, you're not going to talk to them the same way you would speak to someone that is my age, right? 25. Just kidding. I'm just saying, like, you speak to people differently. And something that can really help are those 5 languages. Because if you understand what is a priority and what matters to them, you can engage with them in context that they like, that they listen to. So if you're talking to someone about how much you really like somebody and you want them to really listen to you, or how much you want something, put it into words they understand, right? If you want them to know that you care or that you appreciate them, do it in a way that they comprehend, not you. Because what's the point of communicating with someone if they're not even hearing you? The purpose of this is to understand that not everyone hears you when you speak. It's the same as if it's a different language. It's the same as if you're speaking Spanish. My neighbors speak Spanish. I don't understand them. They could be like talking right at me and I'm like right over my head. I understand. They seem upset. Okay. But I don't know exactly what they're saying. I'm not hearing it. And that is a very extreme version of this. This is just a tool to help you communicate better. When you understand people's motivation, what really drives them deep in their core. I'm not talking about their motivation to understand others. I'm talking about their motivation, selfish motivation, and your own. It's easier to meet them on that level. Because if I know that a gift, right? If I know that my chat will go crazy if I'm like, look, I have something for you guys, I'm going to give it away, and everybody goes crazy, right? I know that'll work better than if I just talk at you for an hour, right? Likely. Not because everybody's a gift giver, but just because it works better for a lot of people. A lot of people love gifts. I know that my bosses, I knew some of them, they were all about the little trinkets. They loved to go shopping for like Christmas time, and every year on our desks we'd have this little baggie with little trinkets in it. Didn't get a raise, didn't get a great score on our evaluation, didn't get an extra day off, didn't get a thank you when we'd stay over and do extra work or pick up the slack. Didn't feel heard or appreciated, but we got trinkets because that's what she was trying to say. I appreciate you. Here's a trinket. And then you're like, can you put money there? Can you give me a raise? Do you see what I'm saying? And the bottom line is, no matter what language you speak in or what language you hear in, no matter what language anyone else does, it's okay if you don't get it. It's okay if you don't agree. I still don't want people touching me. Even if that's their love language, I don't care. Don't put your hand on me. Don't put your arm around me. Ugh. Ugh. Come near me and talk to me right in my face. I'm like, voila, get away. I don't care what you're saying. But no, I just wanted to get into that whole subject because it's something that sincerely interests me, and I understand how to apply it. And the thing is that for what it's worth, don't take me literally at all times. Usually when I speak, I mean it literally. When I'm explaining something like this chart that we were looking at, these are examples. An act of service could be opening the car door. Someone doesn't open the car door, oh, they disrespected me. No, they just didn't think about it. Because to them, they just didn't think about it, right? It can be any context, any level, any combination. It's just a guideline to kind of bring you down the path of understanding other people's perspectives and realizing that we all have different motivations for what we do. And the ultimate motivation, I don't care who you are, is selfish. Because helping others helps us. It helps us feel better. It helps us feel like we're doing something good in the world, like we're making a difference. And I know most of us, that's our motivation in general. But if you want to make a difference to someone at a shelter that is homeless, I don't think a hug is going to resonate as much as a meal, some clothes, toys for their kids. See where I'm going with this? You want to really make a difference and an impact on other people? Find out what matters to them, what makes them tick, and reach them on their level. Make it matter to them. Even though it might seem not a big deal to you, maybe it is, maybe it isn't, but reach them on their level. I understand, and here's the thing, I talk to people all the time who, no matter what I say, no matter how I say it, if I say life is a selfish game. And ultimately, it's all about ourselves. Whether it's subconscious or not, people will fight me. They'll fight me every time. But they're not, a lot of people don't understand. I'm not saying that in a negative way. That's not an insult. That's not derogatory at all. And if you did a study on it, and they did a study and they studied a whole bunch of people and they wrote up a paper and they put it in a journal, and it says that ultimately, when it comes down to it, we do things that make us feel good. We help people and it makes us feel good. That doesn't take away from what you do for others. It just puts an uncomfortable word that I use literally, and people take it as an insult, and it's not. Being selfish doesn't mean at the expense of everyone else. Being selfish means self-care, self-love, self-attention, self-awareness, in the way that I say it. It means that your perspective and your view of the world and your experience shapes how you handle life. And that everything is motivated from in here. Your experiences, your decisions, your perspective, everything you do is motivated from in here. And everything can link back to an experience in your life that has shaped you this way. Now, there are some people that the way their brains function, some are autistic, some are genius level, some, have, I couldn't even tell you, their brain just works differently. And some are not capable of comprehending things in the same path that 98% of the world does. Okay. Mathematicians, Rain Man, that's different. That's not what I'm talking about. Those are those exceptions. What I'm saying, Ida, you're saying we always put ourselves first and foremost. So yes, we're basically egos. If it was a survival thing, right? I think a lot of people would put their kids first. We could get into semantics of it. That's completely possible. But the thing, what I'm trying to say is that ultimately, you help people because you want to. And why do you want to? Because it makes you feel good. In some way, shape, or form, you're getting something out of it. And that's not a bad thing. That's a good thing. You want people to feel good helping others. You want that to be a motivation. And I don't know why my lighting is going in and out. I think my camera has about had it with me is what it is. I'm not saying selfish in a negative way, but what I'm saying is that once you understand what priorities and what makes people tick, and you understand what their motivations are and what's important to them, what's their priority, you can speak to them on that level. You can provide for them better. You can support them better. You can help them better. You can speak to them better. You can make them feel better. You can make them happier. You can use it for selfish purposes or to help them themselves. All I'm saying is that it's a tool, and all of us have, and we might be a combination. I'm pretty straightforward, and some of you guys have figured out which ones you are when it comes to your love language. Like I said, you could come up with super examples of a time where a spouse felt like they weren't getting the attention they deserved, and it had nothing to do with the fact that the person didn't shower them with gifts or send them little love notes and stuff. It's because they just wanted to sit with them and just sit down and watch a movie, just hang out with me, just spend time with me. That quality time is where they were miscommunicating and not on the same page. One person wanted it, and one person either didn't get it or didn't prioritize it. And all I'm saying is it can build resentment. It can build resentment in friendships. It can build resentment in if somebody never calls you back when they say they will, and that drives you crazy. and you don't articulate that to them, how are they ever going to know if that's not how they gauge the friendship? Me and Annette barely ever talk. I can send her a message like every 6 months, in which like we never left, and then we don't talk for 6 months, but we pick it up right where we were, because to us that isn't a make or break it. That's not a priority for either of us, if that makes sense. And I'm trying to avoid using the word communication, only because the words of affirmation kind of make it sound like I'm talking about specific words. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying, letting someone know, like, hey, it matters when you, I just love when you hug me. I just love when you put your arm around me when we're watching a movie. Like that matters more. Or I like when you put your phone away when we're watching a movie or when we're eating dinner, and you really just sit here and you be in the moment with me. Articulating it matters. Saying to your boss, you know, I love the little gifts. I think that's really sweet. But to be honest, I really need to be out of here on time, you know, at month end. I have to. For my family, I just need to do it. Is, you know, can we figure a way to do this? I'll do this and you do that, you know? You're correct. If you don't expect anything from someone, you won't be disappointed. But here's the thing. We all have expectations, whether we think that we're going to be disappointed or not. We all have expectations. They're built in. Or hopes, should I say. And anyone that hits a level that is more than an acquaintance hits a level of expectation. I have an expectation that someone, for example, when I run my podcast and I have a guest on with me, I have the expectation they're going to show up on time. It's that simple. I have the expectation. Now, if they don't show up, am I going to be disappointed? Well, sure, I guess. But do I know them so well that I'm going to be like heartbroken? No. It's just how things work sometimes, how it happens. Someone says they're going to show up and play a game, or someone says they're going to show up and, you know, bring food, and then they just don't. You know what I mean? You still have hope, but you don't always have to have expectations. It's when they hit that next level of friendship or relationship. Why is my lighting keep going out? That's when it becomes a resentment or disappointment, or because then you put them at a level where expectations are okay. You shouldn't have expectations except for basic human expectations. Don't be a jerk. Don't be a douchebag. Stop being an asshole to people. Don't disrespect everyone. Don't be a jerk. You know, that kind of stuff. Basic moral kind of stuff. I mean, like I said, we can get into words. We can get into like the actual definitions of specific words. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about a concept more. And I talk in generalities because I don't know everyone's situation and every relationship, and I can't speak on all of them. I can only speak from my experience, which is the only time I try to get really specific as an example. That's true. You can go without. Exactly. That is a really good point, Wildflower. People, if you don't tell people what makes sense to you, or what matters or to you, or what you really are, you know, would like, you can't expect them to give it to you. You know, like if they take you out all the time, but you're like, I don't want to go out. I just want to sit at home. I don't like going out. I'd rather stay home and, you know, do something around the house. How do they know unless you tell them? They'll just keep taking you out. I hear stories about this all the time. Where people are like, oh, I just wish. Same with the bosses. You know, I wish I could get a raise. Can you take all the money you just spent on the Christmas party and give us all raises? That would be cool. Or a bonus. Either way. In my personal experience, understanding that everyone has a different priority and a different motivation, and understanding, especially in personal relationships, that people show their appreciation differently, helped change how I talk to people. There are some people that no matter what you say, they're going to come back at you about, because there's some things that they're absolutes. There's absolutes. And those are the exceptions to the rule. In general, like I said, if there's a stream, you can guarantee it's quality time, gifts, something transactional, and the words being acknowledged. Those are the three main pieces of running a successful live stream. It just is what it is. I'm just saying it changed. And this was at a time in my life where I couldn't understand why the narcissist that I was married to, I couldn't understand what was wrong. I didn't get it. All I needed was just tell me, just talk to me. And he would purposely withhold words, knowing full and well that's all I wanted. Like, I'm one of those people, I just vent real quick and I'm over it. I get the words out and I'm done. And I get over things really easy. I don't hold grudges. I don't see the point. It's useless to me. His thing was always acts of service. He wanted everything done for him. And it wasn't just acts of service. It was like an extreme level where if you didn't, then you must hate him. Right? And I mean, he was a narcissist, so, you know, take it for what it's worth. But my point is that I didn't understand. And that's why my friend sent me that book, is to try and help me understand that what he was, even when he would do stuff, I'm like, I just feel like he never ever tells me he loves me. And he's like, well, does he do this? Does he do this? Is there any of these things that hits the mark on, where he's doing these and you just aren't realizing that he's doing things for you without you noticing? He's getting you something just to be nice. He's getting your plate for you without you asking. He's anything. Of course, I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna be completely honest. The answer was no. Not a single one. Gifts, never, ever. The only time I ever got gifts, I paid for myself, so I don't think that counts. I bought them for myself, and then he took them and handed them. I mean, it was the whole thing. But not a single one of those 5. Not a single one. And he's like, that was it. That's all I needed to hear. That's all I needed to know. I just needed to put some context into it and understand. I knew what his motivation was. I knew what my motivation was, but there was no way to meet in the middle. There was no way. He would not hear me when I spoke, and he would not listen when I spoke, even in his language. It didn't work. And that's when you know it's broken. That helped me get to the point where I could finally leave when I did. Took a long time, though. Took a long time. It's taken my current relationship of 10 years to learn about myself and my partner. It's been a roller coaster. We're stronger and have a much better understanding from it. See, and that's the thing, is that naturally people come to these conclusions. They know what works. They know that their partner or their friend, they know which friend you buy balloons for and which friend you make sure you call at midnight, 12:01 in the morning. You make sure you're that person calling. Do you know what I'm saying? You know which ones they are, because you instinctively figure this stuff out. This is just putting it on a chart and putting it very particularly and very simply. And I don't want to say dumbing it. It's not dumbing it down, but it's kind of like putting it in a basic structure that can apply to almost any situation in some capacity, but it's a generalized. So obviously there's crossovers and specifics, but I'm saying as a generality. See, and that's the thing. That's the other thing. That's one of those things where it's when you have no interest whatsoever in meeting someone, or at least attempting their love language, is what are you doing, right? Ida, I completely know. What I'm saying is that you're at the next step. Like, you're automatically going to the next step. You've already got this part figured out. I'm just trying to explain this part and how to break it down. You can apply it. Like I said, you can apply it to YouTube streaming. You can apply it to streamers themselves. You can apply it to their chats. You can apply it to fan bases, by the way. That would be fun to talk about. I'm not going to, but that would be fun. Because that's a whole thing, by the way. Did you know that I've had fan bases try to kick me out when I'm friends with the person that they're a fan of? That's a thing. Because I don't... When people don't understand how you approach things, a lot of people dismiss it, right? At no point in time do I ever want to come across as dismissive to someone that disagrees with my opinion. Ever. I get what you're saying. I think it's a step further than what I'm talking about specifically. On the flip side, I'm not trying to be dismissive. In the context of this live stream and this conversation, you're the next step ahead. You're basically jumping over this step and doing it automatically. I'm trying to articulate how people can do this for themselves and to recognize and acknowledge and focus in on it and hopefully help them what's the word? The articulation went. Anyway, I think I'm done rehashing my point. I hope that I explained it in a way that makes sense. I hope I provided adequate examples to kind of apply it and what I'm meaning with it and the positive ways that you can use it and the ways, you can, speak on your boss's language and try and see what you can do to get your schedule changed if you need. Just saying. I'm just saying. And also, like I said, it also does apply to masses. It just applies in a different way. It's not as very particular, but general situationships, like live streams, or I agree with you, Ida. It is hard to think backwards. My brain keeps going ahead of me, and I keep having to go back and say, what was I saying? Because I'm already thinking about, I see things out of the corner. That's why I have to have things like not out of the corner of my eye. I keep seeing it. I see the chat. I see what people are saying. I see the levels. I'm looking at this. My phone keeps going off. I know my kid's out there. I got to find the Christmas lights. Like, I get it. I really do. I really do. I just think that it changed my life. And if you understand how people hear you, it's just the same as if you go to another country and you know the language. How much easier is it to talk to them and to get what you need? Or to help them for a different way to put it. A lot easier than if they don't understand you and you don't understand them. But if you can identify these and you can meet people on their level, the people, not everybody, but the people you care about, or if you can see groups of people and you can see what's motivating them as a group, as a whole. I'm just saying. I understand chats and I put up with chats a lot easier because I can see where people are coming from because I understand why they're there, some of them, especially if I see them often. When you see somebody jumping in, we're not going to say names, jumping into live streams and talking crap constantly, they want attention. It's easy. You don't give it to them. Somebody's annoying you. Somebody's spamming. Block them. Super easy. You could call out the mod, say, hey, so-and-so is being annoying. Or you could just block them and you don't have to look at it anymore. Either way. Which one's easier and which one's faster? And which one gives them less attention, which is what they want? And you wonder why some of us mods don't do that. That's why. Are you sneezing, Austin? All right. I hope that it helped. I hope that I articulated properly. I hope that I brought up a topic that was interesting and gave some perspective, whether you agree or not, whether you apply it or not, whether you read the book or not. I honestly hope that it made some semblance of sense. Oh. I'm moving things around on my screens. I really want I was really excited to talk about this topic because I love this topic so much, because getting down to the nitty-gritty of what makes people tick, ugh, love it. I absolutely love it. Because here's a fun fact. I don't know if you guys knew this. Cliff knows this because we talk about this all the time. He's very empathetic. I'm not empathetic. If anybody hasn't figured that out yet, I am not empathetic. Music does not make me feel like people are like, oh my gosh, that song made me sad. That's not a thing for me. Music doesn't make me sad. Music doesn't really resonate with me like that. That's just not who I am. I can sympathize, but I don't empathize. However, I get weird vibes, and I've not articulated. I have boiled it down to a subject that I will be talking about soon. I have promised people for years that I will do it, and I swear to you that I will. I will do it, and that is basically introducing the understanding of trauma response and the fight or flight, and the being able to feel and anticipate, to feel the frequency changes, and it's literally based on tonality of people down the street. You can feel the shift and the vibe change. It's like when you walk into a building like a church and it feels ominous or it feels joyful. That tone, you can feel it in your core. And a lot of people that have been through very traumatic things and they've been in survival mode for a really long time develop a sense of something of that nature. So I will be talking about that at some point, as well as the it's okay to not be ready yet. This touched on a little bit of that. Someone saw my need to understand and comprehend what I was dealing with before I was ready to make the leap of leaving, even though it was years later. I did try actually like a year after that, and then I went back because there's a whole thing, and then ended up leaving for good. But yeah, I will be getting into that. I have made it very clear that if I can help one person understand that they are heard, they're valid, they matter. And I'll say this particularly in case someone is watching at this point. Thank you for being here either way. You are valid. You are not crazy. You do matter. You deserve better. You can have all the good things. If I can, you can. I promise. It's not easy. It's the hardest thing in the whole world. But when you're ready, there will be people there to support you, to lift you up, and to do everything they can to help you move forward. Doesn't mean it's today. Doesn't have to be tomorrow. But someday, I hope, if you need it, that this resonates with you. Just know that you are loved and you are enough. And don't let anyone ever tell you differently. Okay. I love you guys. Thank you for being here. And thanks for this impromptu. I really like the color of this shirt. I have decided it's officially one of my favorite new colors now, because for some reason, it's a pretty color. If that excerpt I just did does not explain some of the content that will be coming that I have promised over and over again. I am known for harsh reality checks and no nonsense type attitudes, sometimes to the point of being called mean or negative, and that's okay. But when it comes to that, I believe in hard love or tough love, but I also believe that if you're not ready, you're not ready. And until someone's ready, the more you push them, the harder they So anyway, I'm not going to get into that right now, but I love you guys. I'm going to get off here. I'm going to go find the Christmas lights and hang them on my awning with my kiddo. I will post pictures in the Discord if you guys want to see that. And like I said, I hope I gave you something to think about. I will probably cut up the recording part of this and cut off this bit and the beginning bit and maybe repost it so that, and I might cut out some of the in the middle. I haven't decided. I might just leave it intact. I don't know. Anyway, I love you guys. If you guys have any suggestions or anything you want to see me talk about for what it's worth. Feel free to send me links, send me videos. Thank you, Wallflower. I know that you've been sending me some. Thank you, and I know you've sent me some. Drop them in Discord. Send me a message on Instagram if you like what I'm saying. Put a comment. Hit the like. There's different ways to support. And just love everybody and be nice and don't be a dick. Okay? Cool? Good? All right, you guys have a great night. I'm gonna go do Christmas lights. I love you guys. Bye. It's gonna take me a second because I always hit the button.